There's no crimps. Isn't it a revelation we don't have to crimp a pie? Then it's okay for the edges to be imperfect. I love it. Hi, I'm Sue Lee. I'm here to show you how to make my apple and cream pie today inside the New York Times Cooking Studio kitchen. It is one of the 6 pie recipes that I made for Thanksgiving this year. I love the way this pie looks and tastes. I'm so excited to show you how to make it from beginning to end and show you some tips and tricks about how to make a really good and easy pie dough. I think the reason this pie is just really delicious and fun is because there's cream added to it. It's just like a really silky texture with the apples, and it's not too sweet and not too tart. The showstopper is actually how I want you to decorate the top of the pie. I'm really proud of this recipe. It's really one of my most favorite pies I've ever made. I'm going to show you how to make this pie dough by hand. Here we have flour, butter, cold. You see the bowl has frosted up. 2 tablespoons of sugar, some salt. First, you just toss the butter and coat the butter cubes, and then you just smush it and pinch. And like, you sort of just do this motion. You flake it, and it's nice and thin like that. I think there's so much fear around making pie dough, and I had a lot of fear for a long time. It was drilled into my head like, oh, the butter needs to be ice cold and you need to work super fast. And then the dough, you can't put too much water in. It's always like, you can't do this, you can't do that. And then finally, after many, many years of making pie dough and realizing the results were always pretty much the same. Yes, those rules are great. They're there, but you know, it's fine. You can like sort of not be so afraid of it. If you want to use a food processor and it's much faster, you can just pulse it until it's pea-sized clumps. You'll know when you're done when most of the butter pieces have been mushed. It's still kind of clumpy, a little bit like wet sand. I wouldn't say wet sand actually, a little bit more like moist sand. Now you want to drizzle in 6 tablespoons of ice water. So the ice water will now bind everything together. I purposely made this dough a little bit wetter than other pie dough recipes that are out there. People told me about how it has to be really dry and crumbly so that you get the best flake. It's not weighed down by moisture. I was like, it's fine. You can add a little more water to make it easier. Every time I made a pie dough recipe that wasn't mine, things would just be falling apart, and then I felt like I was doing everything wrong. No one likes the feeling of failure, right? You're not gonna fail with this one. I'm gonna divide the dough in half and wrap it in plastic wrap. It's okay if it's not perfectly divided, don't worry. It may seem like the dough is really dry, but it's fine. When you're making, you can tell it's actually not. Like, look at it, if you squeeze it together, it's totally fine. You can just use the plastic wrap to sort of help you pull it all together. I kind of like loosely wrap the dough, so, because I'm gonna take the rolling pin. I'm just helping it come together in the plastic wrap. You see some flakes of butter, but not too much, because you do want the butter to be more incorporated. You want it to be more evenly distributed so it helps make the flakes. So now let's chill this dough at least 4 hours, but preferably overnight. So you can really do this the night before you want to make the pie, or you can keep it in the freezer and bring it out and let it thaw in the fridge before you want to make it. Okay, let's talk apples. So I chose a Honey Crisp because I think it is a very delicious baked apple, and it has a nice balance of sweet and tart where you don't need to add a ton of sugar to make it sweet, and it also still has like a little like nice brightness to it. I chose to not use Granny Smith because I think it's too tart, and it's not my favorite apple to bake with, I'm sorry. And there are certain apples that are just like a little too mealy for baking, so you don't want to do that. Like a Red Delicious. Slices don't have to be precise, but I think it's great if you just cut it into 1/4-inch slices. At home, I would go ahead and peel all the apples and then slice it all at once, finish one task at a time for efficiency. But you know, here I can be a little messier. We're now gonna cook the apples. Get a large skillet or saucepan, set it over medium heat. 4 tablespoons of butter in the pan. You wanna melt it and have it be foamy. You can have it be browned, but browning is not really the flavor profile that I'm going for. So now it's foamy. Add all the apples and toss. You're gonna do this for about 10 to 15 minutes. The slices will start to wilt and break down a little bit. Basically, you want the slices to be slightly translucent. It's fine that the juices are evaporating because you don't want the mixture to be too wet. So you see the apple slices are like kind of getting soft on the edges. That's what you want. There's some moisture, but not a lot because it has evaporated. Now, as the apples are cooling, it'll like start to have a little bit more moisture come out. You do just want to drain off a lot of excess moisture and be left with maybe like about 2 tablespoons of this apple juice. There's some liquid, and there will be a little more, but not too much after the apples cool. You want to cool this to about room temperature, 30 to 45 minutes. So I have a small apartment, and my kitchen doesn't have a lot of counter space, so I had to cool everything in the bathroom. I'm telling you, it was chaos. But to my husband, like, you can't go to the bathroom right now, the pies are in there, that's disgusting. It's what happens in my home. Because I add a little more moisture to this dough, it'll feel a little tackier and might be a little harder to lift. So the parchment will help you lift it. You know, generous dust, it's fine, don't be afraid. You wanna roll from the center out. You wanna roll the dough to a round that's about 12 to 13 inches. That's about right, 12 inches. You can use the parchment. Yeah. Oh, it's okay. Is it really bad? It's fine. Oh, thank you so much. Drape the dough into the pie dish. Like, you don't need to be precious about it. If there's a little split, you can just patch it together. There might be some overhang, and I just use my hands. I just pull it off. It's fine. And what I'll do with the extra dough is I will add it to the top crust. But say like this happened, I just did that. Oops, it's fine. Just patch it. I do pull off some extra dough, but I also tucked some in parts. You don't have to if you didn't want to. You can pull off all the excess and just add it to the top crust. And like, you don't have to crimp the pie. All I do is push it down and sort of let it like adhere to the dish. Let this chill in the fridge while I roll out the top crust. Now that the bottom of the pie is chilling, we're gonna roll the top layer. Sprinkle some flour on top. Now you wanna roll this to about 12 to 13 inches. And this is just like some of the extra dough that came off the bottom piece of the pie. I'm just gonna add it. Okay, this is actually the fun part of the recipe. I don't know why I'm getting nervous. I'm doing math right now. You don't have to use a ruler. I'm using a ruler, okay? Roughly 3-inch squares. You wanna end up with about like 16 squares. But if you wanted to use like a cookie cutter and cut star shapes, do it. If you wanna cut triangles, you wanna cut rough shapes, here all I'm gonna do is cut squares. There is one rule that I want you to follow. Once you've rolled out your pie dough, if you mess it up, embrace it. Don't ball it back up and knead it again, because then it will become just a big fatty thing of dough and not flaky. See, this isn't perfect. We're gonna embrace imperfection today. It's very hard for me, okay? I'm gonna put this in the fridge and let it chill, and then we're gonna finish making the pie filling and put it in the pie. Let's start assembling the pie. The apple slices have cooled, and you see it's not a lot of moisture. This is what you want. The bottom of the pie dough has chilled, and now we're gonna add the seasoning. So it's white sugar, brown sugar, cornstarch to help the liquids bind and make sure that the filling stays nicely intact once they've baked, and cinnamon and nutmeg. First, I'm just gonna toss the dry ingredients together with the apples. So there's a reason why I didn't ask you to add the sugars before the apples have cooked or before you're ready to assemble the pie. Sugar is basically more moisture, and once it dissolves, it becomes a liquid, and it will continue to macerate the apple slices. You don't want the apples to leach out any more liquid. You want the liquid to sort of be in the apples and be cooked, all cooked together, and also you don't want a sloppy mess. So now a cup of cream. And it may look like, oh my gosh, how are you gonna fill it? Don't worry, you're gonna put it all in there, and it can be domed. Now we're just gonna scoop it all in. When it seems like it may not be like able to accommodate the whole thing, it totally can, because what will happen is the apples will cook down and deflate. So the liquid will cook out as the apples cook. Kind of looks like a milkshake. Now we're gonna shingle the pie. I'm really bad at crimping pies. I get nervous every time I do it, and I thought, well, why not just put the pie dough directly on top and just have fun with it? What I'm gonna do is have the pointy pieces out, and it's gonna be beautiful because the ends of the dough are gonna just drape over the pie and create a nice like seal on top. I'm keeping like the nice straight edges out. While I'm shingling, I can cover up imperfect edges. Well, okay, this one's exposed, but it's fine. Okay, we'll just do it like this. I mean, we're all just faking it, you know, we're all like trying to do our best. I love it. One large egg, a tablespoon of cream, and I just use the brush to bring it all together. I like the cream in the egg wash because it kind of adds another like layer of richness to the top of the dough. You'll see it makes like a nice crackly top. I also add sugar to the top, which also helps with making a crackly top. Mix it well. Let's brush our pie. Normally when you make a double crusted pie, you cut a vent, right, to let the steam come out and evaporate. But because all we did was shingle the dough, there's no like actual hard seal of the top. You don't need to add an extra vent. I'm very generous with the egg wash. It's gonna give it a really nice shine on top. And then we're gonna just sprinkle about 2 tablespoons on top. And you see it's sticking nicely to the egg wash. When you turn the oven on to preheat it, what I would like you to do is go ahead and wrap a baking sheet in foil and put it in the oven and heat it as the oven is heating up. You want to have a hot surface on the bottom to help cook the dough under the apples. A lot of times when you get an apple pie or a fruit pie, the bottom of the dough feels a little gummy. It's because it's not fully cooked all the way through. There's nothing really on the bottom that's helping it cook. So the preheated tray in the oven helps to cook the bottom of the pie. Hey. Okay, so come. It's been 45 minutes and I rotated the pie. Some of the crusts fell off and drooped onto the tray. A little imperfection is all okay. The reason this happened is because I was impatient about putting the pie in the oven before I let it chill some more. To prevent that from happening, you really should just let the pie like chill out in the fridge after you assemble it. This is the finished apple pie that I made this morning in my apartment. The pie that we made earlier is still cooking in the oven. It'll be like another 2 hours before we can cut into it. So we're just gonna eat this pie that I already made. The edges of the dough falling over the sides, I think it's a really nice drape and it's so fun. And there isn't that fear of whether or not you crimp the pie perfectly. You can't eat it now, it's too hot. So you wanna let it cool about an hour before you slice into it and it'll be warm on the inside. It's sort of like cooking a piece of steak. You want the juices to distribute evenly. I've sliced a couple of slices of pie. If I turn it around this way, you can see that the pie is quite nice. It held together. The crust is really flaky. The bottom is really crispy. The sugar has formed like a nice crunchy top. The longer the pie sits, the more stable it will be when you slice it. I love the way this pie tastes. It's not too sweet, which is my version of a perfect dessert. There's a little nuttiness from the cinnamon and nutmeg, and the cream really melts all the flavors together. I think it's a great pie. I really hope everyone makes it. I'm really proud of this recipe. You can find the recipe for this apple pie and other Thanksgiving pie recipes at New York Times Cooking. Get in there. Now you know how I feel.
It's a good food.
Thank you.
I really like the crust.
Yeah, I think so too.